a lot of the challenges are not things that you may necessarily intuitively think about right out of the gate. But some of them are. So the big challenges were, where am I going to live? How am I going to communicate if I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese? How am I going to get around? Those types of things, which there are regular and real world answers to those things, and I was able to navigate those issues with the help of my organization, as well as third party consultants that are really out in the marketplace in Asia to help accommodate people and onboard them into a new environment. Some of the ones that maybe we take for granted by virtue of being here is going to the grocery store isn't just getting in your car and driving down the street and parking your car and going in. It's a bit more complicated than that. Getting around, driving, those types of things is certainly more complicated. From a professional side, some of the challenges were, for me personally anyway, I was the first expat that we had ever moved to Asia. We didn't have a mature business that was there, so I was, I guess, for lack of a better term, kind of blazing my own trail with some of that. And so with that, I had to figure out certain things on my own, which were, how do I get work authorizations? What approvals do I need? What business licenses do we need to operate? What government officials and government processes do we have to go through? So there was a lot of business-specific things that I ended up working through that were challenging. And certainly the cultural aspects of things were different. Communicating for the employees that we had in Asia in English was different than communicating in Mandarin. Some of the ways in which people communicate in Asia are different than they are here, where you and I could have a conversation and agree on things and shake hands at the end of the day and know exactly what we've committed to. That may not be the same in Asia. And so figuring out how to communicate and making sure that you have consensus and making sure that you have agreement about what you're deciding to do and how you move that forward is a little bit different. And certainly there were lessons in there that I had to learn in terms of how to effectively manage a team that culturally was a little bit different. Sitting on this side of the engagement, now it's unrealistic to go into many assignments like this with a 2-year time frame. It's simply too short. You really can't get a ton of value, both personally as well as from a business perspective, at least in my view, in a 2-year period. My assignment ended up being 10 years, but what I have told many folks that I brought over to Asia from the U.S. was that you should expect at least a minimum of a 5-year type of a deal. It really is what it takes to be able to onboard into a new culture, onboard into a potentially new business, and really ultimately start to be effective and really advance things. Having a 5-year time frame as kind of the minimum is, I think, much more realistic than being at a 2-year time frame.